Hey, everybody, welcome to the episode number 4 of The Mental Edge. And this episode is all about understanding my guest, Abby Walters, and her experience with the mental side of gymnastics. And I'm really excited to have her on and just talk about all the things that she's learned physically, mentally, good, bad, ugly, fantastic. And so, welcome to you, Abby.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to talk with you because you and I have come a long way as far as where we started, where we are, as far as your mentality and some of the things that you experienced. And I think in my work, what's interesting to me is I kind of, when I'm working with somebody, my goal ultimately is to help people go from where they're at to where they want to be and to really support them mentally to maximize their physical ability. And you definitely have a great experience about what that looks like for you with your situation. And so just tell us a little bit about you and when maybe talk a little bit about when we started and then go from there. But explain where you're at right now.
So when I was younger, me and Stacy started when I was 11, I think, and most of my mental blocks had rooted from breaking my arm in a back handspring when I was 7, and then from there everything carried on with back tumbling. So we started then, and um, we were able to work on like finding ways to get through all my mental blocks with back tumbling, which then led into mental blocks with front tumbling and every skill you can think of. I've had a mental block or fears on. So most recently, I jumped around from IGC to USAG most of my time, and then I finished my senior season last year with level 10, and then currently compete at Utica University.
Which is fantastic, Abby. Your experience is so interesting because people in the gymnastics world, oftentimes there is a particular path that they say a college gymnast has to go through. And I, your experience is not a traditional experience where, you weren't a level 10 ninth grader. You had so many things that prevented you from moving through the path that you thought you were going to have, but it was still very successful for you. And I think that that's really valuable for people to understand is that it doesn't have to look a certain way, but for you, when we first met, you had a lot of experiences that were not easy for you as a young child to deal with. As a 7, 8, 9 year old young gymnast, people don't know that we don't have our own filter. We can't distinguish what's true about us from what's said to us from the people we trust. And so when a coach says something to you like, that was a terrible bar routine, or you're never going to do it, or you're never going to compete, when those things are said to a young athlete, those ideas get grooved into their brain and they behave according to them, even if it's not true about them. And so you had some experiences early on that may have affected you. Can you recall any type of situation that you experienced that really caused you to feel disconnected mentally and cause the mental blocks?
I mean, I remember just like that beginning example of breaking my arm on a back handspring when I was younger. That was that was my first day of level 4 and the first day that I was on team. It was like the first day of summer. So everything was like great, exciting. Then that happened and the coaches that I had at that time were just so negative and condescending, and um it was hard to come back from that when I'm 7 years old and constantly being told negative things because, like you said, you can't decipher what's true and what's not when you're younger.
Exactly. And it's not that I think that coaches are bad people or they're intentionally doing things in a negative way to athletes. And we can all work on that as far as coaches go. But I know I didn't know you back then. And you didn't know the doing strategy or the learning strategy or A circle. or goal beyond the goal and the different things that you're now practicing with. But when you were 7, when you look back at that, if you would have known then what you know now, what could you have done back then? Or what would have been helpful for you as a 7-year-old breaking your arm that you could have used that you didn't know?
Um, Definitely some of the strategies, especially like the learning strategy and talking myself through every single skill that I'm about to do that I'm afraid of or have fears with. Like that's definitely something that could have worked because that's what works most best for me now. So definitely that could have been useful.
And what people don't understand is that a mental block is simply a disconnect between the mind and the body. So athletes are taught what I call the doing strategy. You guys are taught to just do it, don't think about it, get out of your head. You know, if that worked, we'd all be perfect. And there's a situation typically where it doesn't work for you, breaking your arm and having that situation that when the doing strategy doesn't work for an athlete, their mind and body get disconnected, and then all kinds of things get between their mind and their body. And it happens with everybody at a different time. And so understanding what's going on can be helpful. And then understanding that the learning strategy can give your mind a job to focus on what you want to do or what you're doing in the moment. So having a new place to land can be extremely valuable for an athlete to know that, oh, okay, I can just do it if I want to. I can just choose to do it. But I can also give my mind a job to allow my body to do it, to get out of my way, to think about what I'm doing, to feel my way through all of those things. And you, on the other hand, when this happened, this caused issues for you in your entire experience. And what what do you think like I don't want to look at everything as negative, but because everything that happens to you is a benefit to you to some degree because you've used it. And for you, the injuries have been kind of a pattern and a struggle. And I think this happens a lot for athletes. What can you share about your experience with understanding more about mentally how to deal with your injuries or how to support people that have these experiences?
So I had 4 surgeries on my arm within a 4-year time frame, and basically within those 4 years, I probably had like 6 months that I was able to use both my arms for skills. So I had to find a way to either just give up and quit on gymnastics completely or figure out 2 events to compete and make it work. So I was able to do that, and I was able to figure out floor and beam and make them work without using my arms. And I think that experience definitely like obviously challenged me mentally, but it was able to like give me a shift in my mindset and kind of showed me like you don't have everything to use right now, but like figure out what you can use. So I had 2 events, very limited skills, and of course those limited skills that I could do were things that I was scared of. So it felt like I was stuck with just nothing. So being able to like be mentally strong and figure out strategies to work for you within that time when it feels like there's no skills you can do at all is definitely important and was very valuable.
And I know this might be very basic to you, Abby, but I think that when you were in that experience, I know the learning strategy is such a benefit to people to know that they can think about what they're doing as they're doing it. And then maximizing the opportunity in that moment and using a circle or different things to support you. Because those years for you, you were always still very successful within the situation that you were in. How did you do that? How were you able to separate yourself from your process or from the situation to be able to stay connected and do what you needed to do and be successful anyway?
I think having a goal beyond what was currently happening helped me like look forward to what the next step was so that I could see that outside of what small progress I'm making right now, there's something bigger at the end, whether that's finally being able to use my arm for another event or getting a better series or getting better skills or upgrading things. So I think having something to look forward to, like a bigger goal and a bigger picture, but still being able to focus on how what I'm doing right now is going to lead to that was important.
Yes, you mentioned goal beyond the goal, and I created a strategy of goal beyond the goal to help people. You know how I was just working with a level 10 male gymnast today, and he gets the result in his A circle. You know, he gets an expectation in his A circle. Ever do that, Abby?
Yeah.
You know, where everybody has a desire, and I want to do well. I want to compete all my skills. I want to, you know, I want to do what I know I can do. But when that gets in your A circle, sometimes it can cause people to, if it doesn't go according to my idea of it, I can leave my body because it's not right. And then I'm stuck mentally. And so goal beyond the goal provides the athlete the ability to move toward their goal. But then if something doesn't go well, if you have to have another surgery, or if you have a situation where you can't do what you know you can do, it doesn't kick you out of your body completely and disrupt your entire life. You still have the goal beyond the goal of what you want to do beyond that situation. And that can help people have a lot less stress and a lot less, you know, pressure on what they need to do in the moment. Can you maybe give an example of how you used goal beyond the goal in your situation?
Yeah. So in the past, between being stuck getting surgeries and definitely like having a third one and then knowing like you have to compete this season and then right as soon as stakes is over, you have to have another one. That was obviously very hard because you're in the middle of a season doing two events and you know that at the end of the season you're just going to be stuck with surgery again. So sometimes it's like, why do I even want to go through the season? But being able to see the goal beyond after that last surgery and being able to see, like, I'll get to compete in college, I'll get to do upgrades, I'll get to have my arm back for more skills. Um, being able to see past even just a goal that was already in the future and look past that one and have another one was valuable. And then now competing in college, um, I'm obviously in the middle of a season now, but being able to have the opportunity to compete in the summer in Israel gives me something else to look forward to. So I'm able to focus on beam and floor right now, currently in this competition season, and focus on the small progress I'm making now, but then be able to see that in a few months I'll be able to compete again and have that goal to look forward to when something right now isn't going how I would love it to, because the end of this season isn't the end goal for me right now.
And I don't know if you guys that are listening are understanding this, her process has not been easy, to say the least. She could have easily been a victim of a lot of situations, and at times you felt, I would imagine that you were victimized about some of the situations that you were dealing with. Like, why are they not understanding my elbow the way I know it? You and I were talking, you knew exactly the problem, but it took a lot of doctors and a lot of different people to figure out how to really get to the root cause of it and to really give you a solution. Many years of feeling what is going to happen here and those difficult things that you went through. Then, she was like I said before, my daughter was a ninth grader level 10 gymnast. You had the opportunity to do level 10 for 1 year as a senior and manage to get through regionals, which is a specialty qualification, to be able to then get recruited for college. And so there's so many things, Abby, that you were able to mentally and physically figure out because of your desire to do what you wanted to do and what you knew you could do. And I think that is such an important point, that you never stopped deciding to move toward your goals, even if your circumstance was not one of those things that many people would have quit because of. Not that quitting would have been a bad decision, but for you, having a goal beyond the goal beyond the goal has allowed you to not only use the sport to maximize your opportunity within the sport, but you use it outside of the sport. I see you all the time with some of the things that you've been successful in. And this opportunity for Israel, I remember you talking to me about it. And at the time when we were talking about it, you had to qualify and give them videos, and you were not doing any bars or any vault. And I was like, okay, go beyond the goal. What do you, and tell me, for you, how is it coming for you physically for your elbow now? Like, what are you able to do now that has helped you see how you can have your goal beyond the goal? What do you need to do for this summer that you want to be prepared for?
So right now, I'm still getting all my basics back, flipping vaults into the pit,
She's
layouts,
flipping a vault into the pit, you guys.
getting back like all the right feelings, all the right shapes, getting strength back for bars. Um, but taking it one day at a time and seeing like, okay, today I did 5 sets of giants. Tomorrow I could use these giants to work on dismount so that over the summer I can compete a bar team.
Yeah, your goal beyond the goal, from the smaller things to the bigger things, has been, I've learned so much from you with that strategy, right? Like using goal beyond the goal on a daily basis so that you can use that to maximize your goals, has been truly your own. And that mentality, Abby, I don't think, we don't talk about it because you're already doing it. But what most people are trying to do is outside in. They listen to their coaches give them a correction, and then they try to do it. That's what 90% of the people are doing physically, is trying to do what their coaches are asking or what they want to do. And what happens is there's typically a gap with what they want to do with what they need to do. And can you describe that for you, inside out type of mentality? Like, what do you do that helps you understand? So when your coaches are trying to get you to do something, how have you been able to shift that to meet them halfway versus just trying to do what they're asking of you? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Um, I think for me, most of my um the way that I'm able to get through fears and mental blocks doing skills like has to come from me when the more that I'm demanded to do things, to do a certain number, to do a certain skill, the more it messes with like my ability to do it. So it has to come from me inside in order for me to be successful doing it. So I'm able to like inside go through what specific steps I need to do, whether that's using one of the strategies and talking through like 3 or 4 specific keywords that I need during the skill to be able to get through that skill and then applying the correction to it, or whether it's just going for the skill and doing it 5 times in a row and then applying the correction to the last 2 ones once I'm comfortable, things like that.
Yes, the doing strategy, the learning strategy, and A circle. A circle, whatever's in our A circle, for the people who haven't been on the podcast, whatever is in our A circle is what's controlling us or what's running the show for us in that moment. B circle are people or things that support you to make a decision, or they can influence your decisions, but they're not making it for you. And C circle is everything else outside of that, or everything else that doesn't matter. So you've had to manage your A circle. And it's not that I think that people, their A circle has to be perfect or everything positive. Gymnasts have a magical way of having lots of things going on in their head to process, but without letting that affect them in a negative way. Can you maybe give us an example for you where you've managed your A circle in a situation where it was a problem for you, but how you got through that or what you did to help yourself with that situation?
Yeah. I mean, it happens a lot with skills, like especially on beam. Beam is where I use it the most. So literally before I get onto the beam and I'm standing there and I'm waiting, I talk through it in my head and I picture these three circles and who and what is going in each one of them. And sometimes instead of having my brain and my body and the beam in my A circle, sometimes I need to take my brain and put it in my B circle and just have my body and the beam in my A circle so that I know that physically my body's capable of doing it and I'm just focused on the physical part of it and the beam. Yeah.
Wow. And you and I have never talked about it like that. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard you describe a circle like that for you. But what you're doing is deciding what works best for you.
Mhm.
As most athletes, you guys are, they want to just do it. They don't want to have to think about what they're doing. And but they're also taught that their mind is bad. Like, get out of your head. Don't think about it. You're overthinking it. And but A circle provides the ability to be in charge of that mentality and those thoughts and different anxiety or different things that people have in their A circle. And so for you, putting your body in your A circle, giving your mind a job to support that, helps you manage it in a way that works best for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you, like, if you were to give your smaller self any advice, when you, how old are you now?
18.
Okay, now with what you know, what would you say to your young compulsory 7, 8, 9-year-old self?
Um I think what you said before about that your mind is not bad because I think we're taught to find a way to shut it off and that the only way to be successful is to not think about what we're doing and to let our body just do it. But for a lot of people that doesn't work because I know for me if I sense that like my brain and my body are disconnected at practice or about to go for a certain skill, then I won't go. So being told to just shut your mind off makes me not go even more because I feel like there's just no connection between anything going on. So I
Mm.
think telling myself, if I were to tell myself when I was younger, it would be that your mind is not bad and that you can find ways to connect your mind and your body in the middle of practice, even when it feels like you need like a whole reset of a day to be able to do a skill.
That is such great advice. And, my work is broken up into shifts. I have 5 shifts that I work with, whether you and I have talked about them consciously or not. But the shift in understanding, shift in perspective, shift in success, shift in belief, and shift in potential. And I believe that when athletes have these strategies down to support them in these different shifts, that they will be fulfilled in their life and in their sport. And so I want to ask you, for you, what does it mean for you to be successful? What is success to you?
Um, smaller, smaller successes are like the most meaningful ones to me because yes, I look forward to the goal beyond the goals and finding greater goals and greater things to accomplish eventually. But the things that I'm able to do like day to day whether it's finally be able to make a series and do it confidently and get on the beam knowing I can do it, or whether it's make a floor routine and not hesitate before it, knowing that I can do it. Like those small successes are like the most meaningful to me. And I think focusing and accepting that those are successes is what's able to get me through every day and to the next practice.
And you know, Abby, I always say you are successful, and now what do you want to do about it? Like, what do you want to, how do you want to move forward from that perspective? I think most athletes find themselves, I was watching a college gymnastics meet Friday night, and I found them a little bit ahead of themselves mentally, you know, trying to prove what they need to do. And athletes need to know that they're exactly where they are supposed to be, and they can always want to be better and want to achieve more. But knowing that you've earned where you're at, then you don't have to prove yourself, but you can move forward from that congruent perspective to be better can be very helpful. And you describe success very well. The other question that I get all the time is about belief or confidence. We spend a lot of time helping athletes be confident and believe in themselves. Can you maybe describe a time for you in the past where you believed in yourself, so we can explain how athletes can be taught to believe in themselves? Can we, are you okay if we just go through a little process?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you give me a situation in the past where you were confident and completely believed in yourself?
Um, our inner squad competing on floor a few weeks ago.
Okay, great. So when you step back and look at that like a video, how were you confident and how were you believing in yourself? Was it something you felt, something you saw, something you heard, something you said to yourself, some kind of combination? How were you doing that?
It was a combination of what I felt and what I said to myself.
Okay. And that, do you see how you can use that more often? And do
Yeah.
you see how you can practice that more on floor
Yes.
and on other events as well, even vault and bars?
Yeah.
Right? And I think when we understand that we can practice believing and being confident by understanding the relationship to what that was for us in the past, that's what gives people the ability to repeat success, to practice it, to be in control of it. We hear a lot about people being in the zone or um, and really what that is their mind and body are on the same page. They're congruent. They are what I call so connected. Their conscious mind and unconscious mind are in alignment. And who you are is doing what you know you can do. And Abby, you've done an amazing job at that. You are so connected. You are practicing doing your best and moving toward what you want and going after the outcome to maximize your. I want every athlete to put the hard work in and get out of it what they have earned. And so can you describe for me what does it understand or do you feel fulfilled at times? Can you describe the idea of being fulfilled for you in the sport?
Yeah. Um, I feel like I feel it in small spurts and it's not like all the time. Like yesterday at practice, I did a floor routine that was like probably one of the best ones I've done and like then got on beam and was able to do beam and then went to vault and did like 12 good timers on vault. So like after that, like it's a feeling of fulfillment, but it's not like a complete like closure. Like I know that there's still more to do. So I think it's like I don't know, I feel like if you feel completely fulfilled with everything you've done, then like there's nothing else to improve on and that's kind of it. But I feel like we feel in small spurts after a good practice or after a good floor rotation or a good vault rotation, and then you kind of feel good about knowing what you can do next and what your next goal is to work towards.
And would it be fair to say that the way to do that is to be able to be in control of your mind and body and how you connect in the moment
Yeah.
and practicing that? And I think that that's so important to explain. And because people are not fulfilled when they leave their sport a lot of times. And that's really sad because we need to understand that it's not about winning and losing, although winning is, I want people to want to win. I want people to want to maximize, to go to the Olympics, to be professional, to be able to compete for Israel, right? These are really important things. But being successful and understanding how to practice that and how to duplicate that, that's what you can take beyond the sport. Do you see how you're using these strategies in other ways in your life?
Yeah.
Can you maybe describe an idea or a situation for you that you do? You're more mentally strong?
Um, well, I think obviously with school, I'm in college now, and specifically for Goal Beyond the Goal, I I'm constantly always looking way out into the future, sometimes a little bit too much. So Goal Beyond the Goal like helps bring me back and say like, okay, what can I do now so that I'm not stressed out about thinking about this big thing that's in the future. So for me, like eventually I want to go to PA school after college and knowing that like the acceptance rates for those are low. So knowing right now taking all these extra courses to get hands-on work in the medical field will help me later on have more experience and have a better resume and better chance of getting in first round.
And you can just hear your inside out mentality. It's amazing. You guys, you inspire me because do you hear, I want the audience to understand your confidence with your ability to move forward from what you do. Because when you're congruent and when your mind and body are on the same page and when you are per performing from that perspective, there's no like judgment about it. We can always do better and we can change our mind. But when you have that perspective of moving from where you're connected, that is available for people. And it's very powerful and very empowering for you to be able to move from that. Does that make sense to you too?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, they teach me a lot. My gymnasts make me very good because they require me to keep up with them as the audience can be aware, can understand that now. Okay, so from a parent, what would you tell parents? Is there anything that your mom, and from your perspective, maybe struggled with that is managing better? Anything that you can share with the audience to help parents or coaches in a way that they can support the athlete from a different perspective?
I think my mom was always trying to find a solution for me because she was so worried. And when I was younger, like seeing your 7 or 8 year olds come out of practice, out of something they're supposed to love doing, come out in tears every single day and have anxiety constantly about going to practice. Like, obviously, as my mom, she wanted to find something and find a way for me and to find a solution because I always told her I never wanted to quit. So she was trying to find something to help me within that. Um, but ultimately, it can't really come from anyone outside of you. So I think that's important. And then as a coach, like when I'm coaching my little level twos and my level threes, I always try and like include these types of things in small ways because they're 5 and they're 6, so they're not gonna understand what we're saying right now, but they'll understand in a few years when they're scared to go for a skill, or their mind and their body's not connected one day and they can't figure it out, but they know that they have a coach that's going to help them get through it. And maybe they'll think back to level 2 when they were scared to do a handstand on the high beam and think about, like, what did Miss Abby say to me then that helped me get through it, and then be able to apply that.
Yes, exactly. And I think of, as a mother I've had 4 children, and my youngest was my Division I gymnast, and she would come home and not want to, Mom, I think my back is broken again. I think my wrists are broken again. And in my head, I'm like, why are we doing this? Why? But I needed to step out of my own issues so I could support her with what was going on. And then I needed to have that conversation like, do you want me in your A circle? Do you need me to go into the gym? Do you need me to, schedule an MRI? What do you need? Or are you just venting? I think understanding the athlete with what they need so that they can vent to you. Because if your child is not venting, I'm more worried about it because they're bottling it up. So helping athletes understand how you can support them by asking them what they need from you can be extremely valuable as a mom. And it can also take the pressure off of you to not have to fix everything or have to be the solution for everything all the time. Even if it's so difficult when your 7-year-old is crying. Like, I get it, right? That would be really sad. That's really sad. Okay. So anything else that you want to share with the audience about your experience, about any advice to the listener, anything else that you want to share?
Um, I think just knowing that having a goal beyond what's happening presently was, like, the most valuable for me, and obviously is the most valuable for a lot of D1 and elite athletes that you work with. So, accepting that if you don't want to be stuck with all the fears and being stuck with the mental blocks that you have now, that it's possible to make a change and it's possible to be able to be successful with skills, and accept that you're going to have to change your mentality to do it, but that it's possible.
And a year ago, can you describe where you were at a year ago and where you are now with what's going on? Just to give people an idea of how you've used Goal Beyond the Goal.
Yeah. A year ago, what I was getting ready for my first season of level 10 after I just competed on and off for 4 years because of surgeries. Um, and I had already committed by now, actually, but um, it was definitely like I was a little bit stuck with, oh my goodness, like right now I'm competing level 10. My coaches are like, my college coaches are watching. I have to do good so that next year, blah, blah, blah. But I think like what should have been happening was focusing on that season at the moment, because I had a whole summer to work on skills and upgrades and get ready. And now I kind of realize, like, I'm not even thinking about next season right now. It's like I have this season, I have my goals for the season specifically for from now until the last meet of regular season. And then beyond that, I have the summer competing in Israel. And then once we get to the end of this season and those goals are finished and accomplished, then I can focus on next season. But right now I have like my 3 goals for the future, and I'm sticking to those.
And you're very clear. That's what's interesting, right? And that's what's great about listening to you too, Abby. That you can change your mind, but this is where you're at today. And these are your goal beyond the goal beyond the goal. And knowing that you have the ability to do what you want to do within that one day at a time. And so that's possible. And that's that inside out mentality, that ability to practice that and be confident in that. You do it magnificently well. And I'm so proud of you. And I think always I want my athletes and you to know that anything that isn't happening physically, where there's a gap, to practice your mental strategies to move toward that, to maximize those opportunities, to fill in the gaps mentally. And I think that you've taught me how to help do that within your situations, whether it's new coaching staff or, you've got teammates that college gymnastics is so interesting when it comes to different coaches, different mentality, different people coaching with different mentality, teammates, and it's competitive, but it's a team sport and it's different than JO. So there's so many things going on that you have been able to not allow you to hold you back over time because of your ability to learn what you need to learn in the moment because of your goals and because of your ability to move forward. Sometimes it's not easy because those growing pains can be difficult, but you've done that really, really well. And it's been really great to watch your process. And I can't wait to see how you use this even more moving forward. Well, thank you for being here, Abby. I'm excited to share this with the audience and just let them kind of hear you. And I hope to have you on again really soon.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks a lot. See you later. Have a good day.